Welcome back, everyone, to part 3 of our series on algorithms and leadership and personal effectiveness that we introduced you to a couple of episodes ago. And I'm really curious where this is going to take us, because we've talked a little bit about what's in your feed, what are the things you need to do as an individual, and this episode is to do with others. So, Darren, how do we take this algorithm stuff and apply it to leading teams?
Thanks, Andre. The important thing to start with is understanding that you are already curating the algorithm for your team, intentionally or otherwise, right? We've talked about before that as a leader, everything you do is giving feedback. Again, what really outstanding leaders do is that they curate that algorithm, they curate what their team is going to pay attention to. And also, Andre, as you emphasized really well last time, what they're not going to pay attention to. One of my clients has done an outstanding job over the years. Every day in their stand-up operational meeting, they have a safety moment. And to be fair, after many years, some of them are a little stale, no question. But what it does is every day it focuses the team on safety is the number one priority. We've got all the other things that we want to achieve, but safety is the priority. So they've done a really good job of curating that message for the team. And then what we really want to be able to do is reinforce that, right? It's one thing, let's say, to have a safety moment and then immediately go out and do things that don't suggest that we're safety conscious, right? So you want to have this congruency of messaging to activities. And that really helps to build and shape that algorithm, what they're going to notice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. And if I can share something, I was leading this company, which I have had for many years. And we'd often have these leadership meetings, so we'd have our leaders in the room and we would talk about different sorts of things. And sometimes we'd get into a debate, and sometimes the meetings would be really painful, and we'd sometimes lose perspective. But the thing we curated, Darren, we had an empty chair, which I had this bright idea one day to personalize it to be the company that we all worked with.
Interesting.
And I put the name of the company on the chair. If the company had a voice, what would it be saying right now? And it's amazing how that algorithm, that curating of that shifted so many perspectives, because the company would say, hey, that's not really healthy for me. Yes. You know, we're heading down a path of suffocating what we're doing. That was, as you're saying it now, it just popped up, and it was really, really powerful. I think it was a useful technique, which I've used very often, even when I'm running sessions for senior teams, is to actually put an empty chair. If that was humanized, what would it be saying about our conversation right now?
That's outstanding, because that's exactly what it does. It brings additional information, additional perspective into the conversation, which changes the algorithm, right? That's all an algorithm is. It's this accumulation and this sorting of data that then becomes, through the algorithm, decides what's important and what's not as important. And without that piece of data in there, it can't be added into the algorithm, whether that's the empty chair is the company, or maybe it's the customer, right? Or maybe it's one of the business partners. Okay, well, we want to work this through with finance. So if finance was sitting at the table right now, right, what would they be bringing to it? Yeah. Or HR or commercial or whatever it happens to be. That's a fantastic example, and I know that it's produced fantastic results for you. And that would be absolutely one of the great way would encourage people that do have teams that they're working with right now to add that in. Bring that empty chair to the table and see what that feels like to add in that extra piece of data into the conversation that you're having.
Fantastic. So what's the action, Darren? What do we want people to do in terms of curating the algorithm for their teams? What's the couple of things we can do as a result of this?
Really starting with, what are the most important things that your team needs to be focused on? Often there might be the very tangible business objective, but then also a more, for lack of a better term, soft skills, right?
Yeah.
We're going to focus on, say, collaboration. And so how do we bring that in? What are things you're going to do to reinforce that? Is, let's say it's collaboration, maybe at each of the weekly meetings, you add in a collaboration moment. Have someone share or everyone share something that they've experienced, great collaboration. And so start to add in those kinds of things.
Yeah.
How are you going to really reinforce it as you go?
Yeah. I just, one more really quick anecdote just to share with you, because it was so powerful when it happened. So I did a lot of work with sales teams in terms of helping sales managers become better coaches, because one of the biggest levers a sales manager has is coaching their salespeople. So we went through this very elaborate process and lots of workshops and things like that. And I sat in at a sales meeting, and the sales manager, who had been one of the people who had attended my programs, the first question was, well, what are the numbers? What can we close? What are the deals that are on the table? Not what are the skills you practice, what's working for you, what's not working for you, what are some of the challenges you have that we can work out in the room over here. Those were the questions the sales manager should have asked, but instead it was, what's the numbers, what are the deals we need to close? So you get what you inspect, right? Yes. So as a leader, if you're only focused on the numbers, guess what's going to happen? Right? That's the algorithm you're setting for your team.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. You have to know your numbers. You have to know your numbers. And I agree. You should. It's your slice of the business. You should know that. But you should only as a data input, not as the end result. So yeah, very, very good point.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us for this series of 3 episodes on algorithms. Please subscribe. We've got some other interesting topics coming up in future episodes on some other things.
And thank all of you for allowing us to be part of your leadership algorithm. And we hope that we can continue to do that with you and for you.
I love that. We are part of the algorithm.
We are.